Hey folks, I'm Papa Boris, and in this video I'm going to show you how to play Altered. This is a trading card game that's set to release after Gen Con in 2024. They just began their Kickstarter today, but as part of the media campaign leading up to this, they created a demo of sorts on Board Game Arena where you can play one of 6 starter decks. This is available through February 5. If you want to try this out, it's Board Game Arena. But in this video, I'm going to show you how to play at least the current beta state of the game. At the start of the demo, you pick one of 6 starter decks, reminiscent of Hearthstone, though this game is very, very different. Every deck you make has a hero, and every hero has a different power. For the purposes of this rules explanation, I'll pick a couple that are very simple. We're going to go for Kojo and Buddha. And then for my fake opponent, whom I am also controlling, we're going to grab this one here, Sigismar and Wingspan. They have pretty simple hero powers. And then we'll get into the game. So this is a pretty different TCG compared to our typical Magic the Gathering, Hearthstone fare. You're not trying to kill your opponent. Instead, you're trying to get your hero to meet up with their companion. At the beginning of the game, you're going to draw a hand of 6 cards, and you're going to pick 3 of them to serve as your mana. Basically, if you imagine this physically, you would flip the card over and put it down. All the cards on their back have like a mana symbol, which you can't see here. But you can, if you've ever played a game like San Juan or Bonanza or any other board game with a cards as resources mechanic, this will be pretty familiar. I'm not going to try to make optimal selections here. We'll just pick some, I guess I'll keep a spell out and some minions and call that a day. For my fake opponent over here, I am probably just going to do it at random. So once both players have chosen their mana and gotten their starting hand of cards, the game begins. So the way that it works, and I guess I should probably change this window size because it's not all fitting on the same screen. Oh, that's getting worse. That's getting worse. Oh, everything makes it worse. Cool, cool, cool. Okay, hang on. All right, there we go. It's going to be a little smaller, but at least we can see the cards. So the way that this works is that you take turns playing cards. There are other things that you can do besides play cards. There are some cards, like in Magic the Gathering, that you can, tap to use an ability or something. But for the most part, you're going to just take turns playing cards. When you play a card, they're either going to be a spell, a permanent, or a character. The most common and most significant of these are the characters, so let's talk about them. The way it works is that when you play a character, you pay the mana cost shown in the upper left-hand corner of the card. Now you'll notice there are 2 numbers up here. This one has a 2 and a 2. This one has a 3 and a 4. This one has a 2 and a 3. Ignore the red one for now. Focus on the upper left one, which is in blue. That's how much it costs to play the card. Now, when you play a character, you pick which lane to put him in. Either the hero lane, which is over here on the left, or the companion lane, which is here on the right. I'm going to go ahead and play Sun Wukong here into the hero lane. Every character has 3 stats. Forest, desert, and lake. That might not be the correct terminology, but that's what I think about it. I guess it could be tree, mountain, water. Anyway, if at the end of the round, after both players have passed and are done playing cards, you have more forest, desert, or lake stat, depending on the region, than your opponent, then your hero gets to move. So if you look over here at the hero side, this is my hero token, and the hero and the companion always start in a region that has all 3 symbols. So as long as I have more green or brown or blue than my opponent at the end of the round, this hero token is going to move 1 space to the right. The same exact thing happens on the companion side. So in the companion lane, if you have more of any of the stat shown in the region that your companion's currently sitting in, then your companion will move towards the hero. And the objective of the game is to get your companion and your hero to meet up somewhere in the middle of the board. It's one of those things, honestly, that's kind of hard to say out in words, but once you play it for 2 seconds, it's very, very straightforward. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and have the fake opponent play a card as well. And now we're both out of mana. So we pass the turn. When you have nothing to do, here we're out of mana, you can see, you pass. And then once both players have passed, the round ends. So notice in this case, my hero moves because I had more of everything than my opponent. And on the other side, we both had 2 of everything. If it's a tie, you don't get to move. You have to have more of the relevant stat than your opponent in order for your character, or sorry, your hero or your companion to move in towards the middle. I don't know why this card is floating here. Let's go ahead and refresh. Yeah, there we go. Now, you'll notice that everything cleared off the board. So after the round is over and both players have passed and, you know, the hero and or the companions have moved, things are cleared off the board. So characters, unlike basically every other TCG I've ever played, don't stick around on the board. However, when things are discarded, they don't just go to a graveyard. They go to a reserve. So Mr. Sun Wukong here has moved into the reserve area. And you can play cards from the reserve by paying the lower right mana cost. So that 4 is what I would now have to pay to bring him into the game. This is kind of interesting because that means that cards can have different costs to play from your hand or to play from reserve, and they can also have different effects. If you look at this card that my opponent played, it has the hand symbol. This is like a battle cry, but only if the character is played from the hand. So this Ortis Spy is cheaper to play from the reserve, 2 instead of 3, but they don't get the battle cry when played from the reserve. Sun Wukong is the opposite. That weird kind of symbol, it looks like a, I don't know what that is, a card turned sideways. That is the battle cry for if you play it from the reserve. So if you play him from the reserve, he gets 2 boosts, which is like a counter that gives +1 to all of your stats. Now, after both players have passed and the cards have been cleared off and movement has happened, if it were going to happen, each player draws 2 cards and may optionally discard one of them in order to get 1 mana permanently. So we'll go ahead here and discard something random from my fake opponent, increasing the mana permanently, and then we'll also do the same thing. We'll discard this cheapo and make him go away. Now let's talk a little bit about hero powers. My hero power is that I get a free 2/2/2 token in the companion section, but only if I'm the first player. So I get a 2/2/2 every other round. My fake opponent here gets a 1/1/1 every round. So you can see a little bit of symmetry in that. So now my fake opponent needs to make a play. They have a terrible hand. So we're going to go ahead and play out the Spy, a 2/2/2 for 2. Over on my side of the board, we'll go ahead and play this Sun Wukong character. It's probably not the optimal play, actually, but we'll do it. And he comes with 2 tokens, so it completely dwarfs the Spy that was played over here. And now we'll have my opponent play nothing, because there's really nothing that they can accomplish whatsoever, so they're going to pass. Now, you'll notice that this square of the board and this one got revealed. This is random. So the starting region for both the companion and for the hero always have all 3 symbols, but every other region, as you traverse across the board, randomly has a subset of only 1 or 2 of these symbols. So in this area, I would need to beat my opponent in desert or lake to advance. In this one, I would have to beat them in forest to advance. And this can be different for you and your opponent if you're in different regions. So my opponent, whose hero token is still here, can beat me in desert, lake, or forest in the hero lane to advance, whereas I'm limited to just desert or lake. Anyway, I'll go ahead and pass. So here, their free token gave him a free advancement, which is probably something I shouldn't have allowed. And over here, Sun Wukong dwarfed their Spy, so I got to advance here. All right, I think we'll just do one more fake round. generate some mana here. And yeah. It's the third round. I'm the first player again. So I get my free 2/2/2 token. And here, let's just go ahead and play this. This is not optimal, but we'll just play it. And then my opponent will also play something. Here we go. I guess we'll have them play a landmark. So these are the permanents in this game. There's not a lot of them. Permanents, unlike in Magic, don't really feature very much, at least not in the starter decks. But if you do have a permanent, you can have up to 2. So if you play more, you end up having to discard one. This one creates a free 1/1/1 token at the beginning of a round, which at this point is probably a terrible thing for my opponent to spend 3 mana on. I'll go ahead and play a spell. So this spell gives a character 3 boosts. So that's like 3 +1/+1/+1 counters. Probably don't need this, but go ahead and confirm target. There we go. Probably don't need that, but there we go. Our Buddha is really, really beefy over here now. And then my poor opponent is in just absolutely terrible, terrible straits. They'll just pass. This is a little bug in Board Game Arena. Sometimes things kind of hang in the air and you have to refresh the page and it fixes it. Okay, so that's the nuts and bolts of how you play Altered. The game ends when one player manages to get their hero token and their companion token to be in the same square. In my next video, I'll actually play against somebody, and that'll hopefully show more of the game flow and the thinking that goes beyond, or that goes beyond just merely the rules. I will also say, just personally, if you care about my opinions about the game, I think it's pretty interesting. I don't really want to play the physical version. It's just, you know, as the owner of a job, family, and children, I don't really have the time to get involved in a physical TCG. And the developers have been really wishy-washy about what exactly the future of this game is digitally. It's going away from Board Game Arena on February 5th, 2024. And they haven't said what they're going to do after that, whether they're going to keep it on Board Game Arena or bring it back or make a digital client or what. Somebody did make a fan-made digital client called X Altered. The devs have sanctioned it. It's a little bit rustic. You got to go into like a Google Drive, download a zip, then launch an exe. I mean, it's, you know, it's a fan-made client, but if you are really into the game, there is a way to play it digitally even after it leaves Board Game Arena. But personally, I'm going to be waiting to see if the developers make a more official digital client before getting super invested in this game. All right, that's it for me. Thanks for watching. Please like it or subscribe, and I'll see you again soon. Take care.